I would like to ask you another question focused more sort of forward instead of backward. What could you say that you and or Elohim and or the Council could give as advice for your listeners for the next few months, maybe the next year, 5 years? You know, what's going on and what's coming up? How can we stay in balance with all this?
Well, it's funny that you used the word balance because that's the word I was going to use. And really, we kind of talked about it a little bit, but just sort of putting it into the context of balance is the idea that there's habit on one end, you know, sort of habit in the past on one end, and projecting into outcome and worry and fear about the future on the other end of let's just take a plank, you know, like a teeter-totter.
Okay.
And in the middle is a fulcrum. And the idea is to stand in the middle, which is really the moment, right? That represents the moment. And resist isn't maybe the right word, make different choices about the temptation to go into the past and run habit as a familiar suffering, or to project into the future as a way to try to get certainty that's false and fake. And instead stand in the middle, focus on what is in your lap, put your feet under your shoulders, and be aware of the now, and be honest with yourself about what you find, not beat yourself up when you find stuff that you're not happy with, but make step-by-step choices out of what you've been doing into something new.
That's good. So basically it's really just stay in the moment and deal with what is. And
in a healthy way, right? That's why we have over 100 tools to help people evolve the relationship to the survival instinct and manage what they find when they face the moment authentically. Because you're going to find stuff you don't like. That's why you run to the past and the future.
Right.
You know, or find stuff that you're ready to change but maybe don't know exactly how.
Right.
Right. It's that honesty. It's that self-honesty. It's a big deal.
That can be.
And right now.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say that self-honesty can be one of the biggest challenges, I think. And it's kind of why we go to the past or go to the future, or often create our future from the past, because it's a bit of a challenge to face with total honesty and new eyes what's right in front of us.
Yeah, this is true. Yet, if we don't, how will we ever get out of our patterns?
Right.
It gets to a point where we have another tool called how ridiculous does it have to get? Like, really, how ridiculous does it have to get? And, you know, the answer is pretty darn ridiculous most of the time. But if it starts to get ridiculous, then you know, oh boy, I have to do something different, or this is going to continue in its ridiculosity, and I don't want to do that anymore. And for some people that means a week of it, and some people that means a lifetime of it.
Right.
But at any point, you can start making different choices, but you just can't expect it to be instantaneously transformed life. It does make change. You know, you're actually rewriting the neural pathways that you use in your brain. And I'll just give the listeners a real quick tip. One of the best things to do is just to stick the words "I'm tempted to" in front of your habitual reaction. So, you know, the phone rings. I'm tempted to be afraid of that's bad news. A bill comes in the mail. I'm tempted to think that bill is going to be too big for me to pay. I'm tempted to assume because that person has a funny look on their face they don't like me. And if you just put "I'm tempted to" in front of it instead of actually running that habit, you actually have to use a different part of your brain. And so you're really in the now in a new place in your brain. And that right there can just change everything. I'm tempted to. 3 little words. Powerful.
That's a great tool. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome. We have lots of them. lots and lots. Eloheim makes up more all the time.
That's awesome. Well, where can people find out about find your tools and find out more about you, and how can they connect with you, and what are you doing?
Sure. We have 26 ebooks and 10 paperbacks. They're available in any Amazon store that you have access to, and they're also on my website, Eloheim.com, Eloheim.com. You can go there, check out our books. We We also have events there. Like I said earlier, we have at least three public broadcasts a month, including an online Q&A. So if you wanted to ask Elohim a question during our Q&A, you can do that. You can book a private session. I have quite a few different private session options that you can find on the website. And the thing I'm super excited about is that we are going to be traveling internationally in July. We're headed to Austria, July 11th through 14th. And then while we're there, we're going to scoot over to Turkey and be there from the 18th to the 20th on the Mediterranean Sea. And then in October, from the 6th to the 9th, we'll have our third annual retreat with Elohim here in Sonoma, California, where I live.